of the week. That's because it's time for this week's episode of RfRx, your prescription for coping. I'm Kara, I'll be your host, and I have with me returning co host Rob Palmer. Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is the first time we've had a guest who actually used to be a psychic. We had Mark Edward, who acted like a psychic, but he knew he wasn't a psychic when he did that. Susan Gerbich's ex, who gave a talk here and has passed on, unfortunately. But yeah, he was really big into that, but he never really believed he had the power. So this is going to be interesting.
Ooh, yeah, I'm super excited as well. I cannot wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. And for anybody who's new here, as I mentioned, this is our program for recovering from religion, where we offer hope, healing, and support to those struggling with issues of doubt and non belief. And this is our weekly live stream show where we host guests who discuss topics relevant to folks in the RFR community. And as Rob mentioned, this evening we're talking with Fleureo, and we will be discussing her journey from psychic to skeptic. And as a reminder, RFR is a nonprofit organization, and our shows are designed to generate conversation and engage our powers of reason. All of our guest speakers are presenting their own views. People of any political or religious affiliation are welcome to participate in the show, and this is a safe space for members of the LGBTQ plus community. And we ask that everyone please keep the comments civil. If you disagree with somebody in the chat, do so respectfully, and please respect the speakers, the hosts, the other guests, and yourself. And if you have questions for our guest, drop them in the chat during the show, and we'll try and collect a couple of those to ask at the end of the show if we have some time. So, with that, Rob, would you care to do the honors of introducing our guest?
Absolutely. So, our guest this evening is Florio, host of the YouTube channel Florio's Phantom Files. She was raised by her mom, a professional psychic and hippie, in what Florio describes as a New Age home. She was trained to be a psychic and raised as a Rosicrucian. I had not heard that. We can talk about what that is later. But she now has a pagan belief system, which she says she does not take literally, but sees as a self described psychological support thing. She calls herself a skeptical believer. And on her YouTube channel, she does deep dive investigations into the paranormal, supernatural history, and people who are public figures claiming paranormal powers, with an emphasis on truth seeking and critical thinking. Welcome to RfRx.
Thank you for having me. Some people were saying that there's an echo. Are we good
Oh,
with the echo, or
no.
how's it going?
I am not hearing an
I'm not hearing an
echo,
echo either.
but let us know if
Yeah.
the echo has continued or if that got resolved, and we'll work it out if it's still going on. Thank you for
Oh
mentioning that,
no.
and thanks for being
Okay.
with us in the
It
chat.
was just Joan that it was on her end. Okay, so we're good.
Oh,
We're good now. Okay.
awesome. Okay, great. No, thanks
Okay.
for checking that. Awesome. You're one of those excellent guests who talks to us while also monitoring chats on like three different screens. This is great.
I
We
don't
love
even
this.
have the bandwidth to do this, and I host this. I don't look at anything else.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. So well done. It's almost like you do this all the time, which I guess you
Yeah,
do.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
um
so yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get to become a psychic? When did that start and how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I mean, it's I guess like it's a long story. I know. I went into a bunch of it on Kenny Biddle's recent live because he did an interview with me as well, and
Which,
I
by
don't
the
really
way,
know where to
is the
begin.
reason you're here. I had not really watched anything of yours until I watched that full 2 hour show, and it was fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, it's like I've had a whole lifetime of this, so I have a lot of stories and things. That's why I'm like sometimes like I don't know where to start because
Well,
there's
so
so
we
much.
mentioned that your
So
mom was psychic, right? So
yeah,
and this was right when you were born, or did she decide she was a
yeah,
psychic?
yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about
Well,
that.
yeah, she decided that she was like I don't know when, obviously, like way before I was born. And she would tell me that my grandmother or not, it'd be my great grandmother was as well, and some other people in the family. The thing is, like, our family is very neurodivergent, so I feel like a lot of stuff is just being very aware of your surroundings and recognizing patterns and stuff. But anyway, so when I was born, like when I was like fully into this new age stuff, and so I was born into that household and just like you are this because we are kind of thing. And then just we did a lot of stuff like she taught I was like meditating at a very young age. I'm like 3 or 4. I was in like yoga right away. I was in whatchamacallit. I was like lucid dreaming right away. Like I was just like since I was like 4 or 5. Like I did it preschool, so 4. Yeah, I think it was 4.
Was that
And just
something that
kind of
you learned to do, or it just was something that naturally happened? The lucid dreaming, I
You mean
she
the
mean.
lucid
taught
dreaming? The
me.
lucid dreaming?
Yeah, she taught me how to do it because I was having a nightmare about my Okay, so, like, I grew up on the Grimm fairy tales and other, like, more spooky stuff, so I'm pretty desensitized, like, on scary stuff, but when I was younger, the most weirdest things is what caused me nightmares. One was my Hooked on Phonics program in daycare, and there were, like, these monsters, but they looked like Monsters, Inc. stuff, but we're talking long ago, like, this Monster Inc. wasn't around. So, I was having nightmares about these monsters all the time. And so then she taught me how to like lucid dream so that I could react to them in my dream and tell them to go away. And like the whole thing was she taught me how to like carry a mirror with me from under my pillow into my dream self and then put the mirror to them because they were scared of their own reflection. This is what she told me. And it helped. It worked. Right. And
Oh.
it's like that one. And then the Return to Oz movie freaked me out. All those heads in the
Oh
jars
yeah,
and
that
stuff
was
like that.
weird. That was weird.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
those are the 2 things that gave me like recurring nightmares as, as a kid. But then I grew up on like all the Grimm fairy tale stuff and everything else I'm fine with, but it's like, yeah, you show me a head in a jar talking, or like apparently Monsters Inc. And I just have these
Oh
horrible
yeah, the monsters come through your
nightmares.
closet from their
Yeah.
yes.
That is
I was not
scary.
Yeah.
aware that one could be taught to lucid dream. I thought that was just something kind of an innate ability or not. That's interesting.
Well, and someone
Mm.
has asked if you can explain what that is, for folks that don't know. What is lucid dreaming?
Essentially, you become aware that you're dreaming, like in your sleep. Uh,
But you
and
don't
you
wake
can
up,
teach
you
yourself.
continue to dream.
No, you can wake yourself up. No, you can. I can
Okay.
do everything. I can change my dream. I can turn it into a movie. I can make it something else. I can make it longer. I wake up, go to the bathroom, go back to sleep, continue my dream because it's entertaining for me, and I wanted to finish the movie. Essentially, my dreams are not like 2 minutes; like they're the whole night because I like play it out because it's fun. And it's like, yeah, maybe 10% of the time I can't lucid dream. Like I don't realize I'm dreaming. And sometimes I'll wake up like with a bad dream or something I just like didn't realize. And so it's not a guarantee all the time, but it's the majority of the time. I just lucid dream. Right. And
Oh,
it's just becoming aware that you're dreaming. And then while you're dreaming, you can either choose to wake up or choose to change the dream to whatever you want and do whatever you want in it. Right. So, yeah.
okay, so you can also control what you're doing in the dream. You're not just watching it like a movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
Yeah,
so
I can control
how
everything. Yeah.
tell us is I imagine it's a long process. I participated one time in a sleep study where the goal was to teach people to lucid dream, and it was a very long and unpleasant process. Although I've always been
Mhm.
able to do it, not 90% of the time like you, but about half for me. But what's the process that you used to learn, or I guess that your mom taught you?
I like
Do you
honestly
remember?
it was bringing something from the material world into your dream. For me it was a
Hmm.
mirror and that became like the focal point. Sometimes people will do like writing on their ceiling or something that they read when they're falling asleep, like something that they've written. And then in their dream, they try to teach themselves that they try to make it happen so that they wake up in their dream or whatever, and the writing's on the wall, like the little picture of the writing or whatever it is. Letters and words are better because they do jumble a bit in your dreams when you're trying to recreate them. But like if it's letters, like then you'll know when you got it because it'll be very clear. But I think like learning it from a very young age probably made it easier for me to do. Plus, also you have to remember I grew up like we were meditating, we were doing meditations, we were doing sweat lodges, like everything from a young age. So like I'm already primed to be able to like do this stuff very easily, I guess, because I've just been meditating, do all that from a like as far as I can remember.
Mm.
So that probably plays a role in it that helps. I don't know, like a fully grown adult with already a belief structure in place with a lot of hangups about the world. I imagine it would be a lot harder to learn, but I do know people that have learned it. I'm not saying it's impossible. Lots of people can
Hmm.
learn it, but I would say it probably came easier for me because I was like 4, because it was the Hooked on Phonics program, not to the name, but I'm just using it as an example. And I was doing the phonics program in my daycare before kindergarten. So that's why I remember that it was at least before kindergarten. Yeah.
Extremely young. So is that the same age that they start to tell you you are also psychic and you perhaps practice being psychic?
I mean, I think my mom was telling me before even that. I don't know. Like, obviously, we don't remember a lot of stuff
Yeah.
before like 5 years old, right? So as long as I can
In my
remember,
case,
it's always
18. I don't
been.
remember anything before 18, but that's me.
Most people forget things from like 18 to 25 because that's around the college party time, right? So, um, but yeah, just I don't know. I was just told I was, so, and that's what my mom did for work. So there was people coming and going, getting readings done. And then I was just helping be the host. I would serve them tea and stuff as a little kid. It was fun for me at the time, and the clients seemed to like it. They thought I was
Is there
cute.
any
So,
all right, because like doing psychic investigations like Susan does, we find out that a lot of these people do sort of a hot reading, which might also entail a compatriot, a friend, a family talking to people before they get a reading. Did you do any of that as a kid for your mom?
no. So, like, and I've explained this to Susan and Kenny, like, you would be surprised, it's like a 50-50 on, like, people who are knowingly faking. So, like, they would hot read and stuff, right? They tend to be the ones that are on TV because you gotta be a certain type of person to make it to that point, if you know what I mean. And then, like, the other 50% are people they truly believe they are. Like, they truly, truly believe that they're
So
psychic.
you think your mom fell in that category?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's definitely in that category. Because there were people that were faking at the psychic. Because I grew up, like, on the psychic fair circuit and everything, and I remember, like, when she found out people were faking, when she caught people faking stuff and things like that, we would, like, remove them from our life kinda thing. We'd
Oh.
just stop talking to them. It hit a point even when my mom stopped doing the psychic fairs because the majority of the people were just faking, and she just did not like that. Like, my mom is very ethical about that stuff. She has a
Mm.
philosophy degree, so she'll go on about it, but, like, she is very ethical about things like that, so,
Yeah.
and some psychics are, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
she
met
still
one
thinks
who
she is, I
I
don't.
met one at Kenny
You know?
Biddle's house. Actually, it was somebody
Mhm.
he knew from when he was a paranormal investigator of the believing sort. And we had a nice conversation, and she clearly believed she didn't take money. She just did it for friends. And she clearly believed she had this
Mhm.
insight and power. Yeah.
Now, did seeing that when you were younger, Fleur, did that kind of start you to suspect that, given that so many of the other people that you were running across at those fairs you realized were faking, did that make you start to suspect that maybe this wasn't actually a real ability that people could do? Or what led you to start thinking
No.
that?
I mean, I didn't start thinking that until, like, so I was even doing, stuff it was mainly for, like, friends and family, but there was a time that I was doing, like, I would do party stuff, so, like, bachelorette parties and stuff, which I don't really, even looking back on it, like, I don't really feel bad about, like, I thought that I was actually, psychic then, and so I don't feel
Yeah.
bad about it because it was also a bachelorette party and they were all drunk. And my mom always taught me too is like, well, for one, my mom would never do parties. She's always against that. But she'd always tell me, like, our rule was, even if the cards or if something negative pops in your head or if you get a negative like prophecy or whatever, she's like, don't tell them. Just don't tell them.
Hmm.
It's just like, there's no reason to bring the negativity in it. Like, she was kind of like, to keep things positive. And if you have to tell them something, do like a sandwich, the sandwich method, right? Good, bad, good kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
Like the compliment sandwich kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't really give anything negative, but yeah. So to answer your question, where it came from, so it was. I was doing all that. Then I started doing ghost hunting stuff, paranormal investigating. I was doing all that for a while. Urban exploration. I love that stuff. I love history too. So I love the old, like, just finding old buildings to pop into.
So what means
So
urban exploration in this context? What does that mean?
urban explorations where you find like old abandoned buildings and you break into them. But you break into them out of you want to see what, first of all, sometimes it's the architecture. You kind of just wanted to check out really old buildings that you're like, wow, they don't build them like this anymore. But a lot of us enjoy seeing how nature takes back, you know what I mean? Like nature, they take it back and the building starts to crumble and you see like trees growing in. And I find that part interesting, which also, I know like there's a lot of atheists that watch the show, but I am pagan, right? So
Mhm.
I'm very much about like the earth. So I just find that so fascinating. So urban exploration is that. And I don't do it anymore. It is very, very dangerous. You don't do it alone. You got to wear PPE. You have to have a gas mask and stuff because dead air will kill you, things like that, right? So it's fun though, like it's very interesting. And then I would like research the history of the building and stuff. And we have a rule in urban exploration, well, a couple rules, but the main one is only leave footsteps. So you don't touch anything, you don't take anything, only leave footsteps, right?
Mm.
It's when people break that rule, then they tend to get shunned from the communities. The other rule that we have is we don't share the addresses of where we've gone. We'll share pictures, but we don't share where it is because too many people show up to vandalize it, right? So it is very much about like protecting the history in a sense, so it leans into ghost hunting. It really does, because there are a lot of places you go ghost hunting too, is like these old buildings and
Mhm,
stuff. And
mhm.
so yeah, so I did that for a time. And then what happened is my partner in ghost hunting, who I was in elementary school with, she passed from cancer very quickly. It was very sudden. And then my other friend, my other best friend, she was like a sister to me, not a paranormal investigator, but very close. We were like family. So they both passed within 8 months of each other. It was very quick, right?
Oh
So,
gosh, I'm sorry.
and like, and the thing, well, and this is the thing is like, I was like, well, if this stuff was real, wouldn't they come back to talk to me? You
Mm.
know, wouldn't they like have sense and sign, especially the one who was my partner in paranormal
Hmm.
investigations, and she was a pagan, like everything. So I'm like, why haven't they like come back to talk to me? And so this started me on this whole thing where honestly I just left everything paranormal. I quit. I was like, I don't watch any of the shows, I don't deal with any of it. I was just done, because I was like, it caused like a complete breakdown in my belief structure on this stuff, right? And I kind of just froze. And then I just decided to, because I was in college at the time, or just finished college. I think we just finished college, yeah, because I was working at a big bank at that point.
So I
So
heard you talk about this
mhm.
one another time. You mentioned Thomas Westbrook's channel, Holy Kool-Aid. Was that at this time also?
No, no, no. I found Holy Kool-Aid like last year. It was, I think, or
Oh,
the year
very
before.
recent. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, it's like, so I left paranormal for a long time. Then I got into a career I enjoyed. I was, just working, doing the whole career thing, focused, whatever, interpersonal stuff, family issues. My mom got sick, this, that, whatever. Um, and then I decided, like, it was like last year or the year before. No, I think it was like 2 years ago. I decided that I would come back into the paranormal field to see what's going on. Maybe I can like start up a YouTube channel, make some content in it, because I used to have successful YouTube channels as well, and they make money, help pay the bills. And I'm like, I need
Well,
help paying the
what
bills.
were the topics of
So
those?
they're business and marketing, which I just really did not want to do anymore. It's very tiring. So yeah,
Sounds much
it's
less fun.
not, yeah, it's not as fun. Yeah, like it requires a lot of research, same as what I do now, but it's like I was just getting burnt out because I'm like, it's not fun. It's just work. A lot of the stuff I did was around analytics and teaching technology illiterate people how to manage their own ads, their own online marketing, how to make their own graphics. Like I was teaching like DIY for small businesses, right? Um, so yeah, then I ended up like leaving that for a bit, couple years. I've been helping my mom, who's like health has gotten worse. I have my own health problems too. I have fibromyalgia and like chronic fatigue and chronic migraines, like severely chronic migraines. So I need flexible work. So I'm like now AI, because I love technical writing and I love writing, so I used to do that freelance, make guides, courses, how to documents. AI has now gotten rid of a job like that. So, you know, not that I'm like against people using it for text. I get it. It makes things easier. But honestly, a human does the SEO part better, but whatever. That's a different conversation. But yeah,
Well,
it's
and
just like I want to
humans
come back.
hallucinate less, I think, when they're summarizing long
Yeah,
documents.
exactly. So yeah, and then it's like
Uh,
I decided that I wanted to come back to YouTube because I was doing Twitch for a little while, just because it's easier. There's like less planning and editing and all that. Then I'm like, it pays like crap. Where YouTube paid pretty good when I was doing it. So then I decided to come back and I'm like, I want to do paranormal and stuff like that. I enjoy this topic. I can like carry on with it. And then I started doing like just I love history. So I want to do some videos on New Orleans because I love New Orleans. I want to go there one day. It's like always been my top place I want to go. Um, I know Katrina kind of ruined Hurricane Katrina, but yeah. So then I started searching, looking up and researching a couple stories I wanted to do some videos on, and then I found like they, when I was researching it, I like debunked the stories as I was researching them, and I'm like, oh,
Oh, so
so these are
that wasn't your intent, huh?
no, I just wanted to do a history video on like these like tales of New Orleans, right? And then that's when I came across all the correct information. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and the thing is, you gotta remember too, like as a paranormal investigator, when I did it, debunking was part of it. Like you just debunk, like that was normal. So even me searching the stories and finding out, oh, it's not true, and I debunked them, that was a normal activity for me. There was no separation. I don't know why there's a separation nowadays, but there was no separation. So then I just did the video on, look, guys, I found out that these stories aren't real. And then I told the real story. And that's sort of the videos that took off on my channel. And then after I was like,
hmm.
oh, okay, well, if you guys like this stuff, I'll just do more of that because there's more out there. So yeah. But
Wow.
yeah, the belief structure in general, it happened when my friends died. And then it's just kind of been like, every year it's further deconstructing. I would say I'm still like in progress with it. So yeah.
Yeah. So, what does that look like for you to deconstruct from that belief system? And we kind of talked a little bit in the pre-show about, whether you feel like that would be complete or what would need to happen to completely deconstruct. Do you think? When would you feel that you had done that?
I don't feel like I would ever completely deconstruct. I don't know that
Mhm,
anyone ever does because
mhm,
I'm noticing the psychology and the work around deconstructing. You can also apply to just everything in life. Like your political stance, your the people that you like, your best
mhm,
friends, your ex-partner, things like that. Because I was in a crappy relationship and I was in like a DV related relationship, and it
mhm.
took me a while I realize now I was like that's what you do. You're like deconstructing
Yeah.
because you tell yourself, "Oh, it's my fault. I'm going to go apologize." Like, you get into that weird headspace. It's almost like culty kind of headspace, and it takes
Mhm.
us many times of leaving before we're finally like, "Okay, no, this is not. We need to leave."
Yeah.
So, and now I'm just realizing like you can apply deconstructing to everything, and so I feel like I'm never really going to be done it because I keep finding new stuff that I'm like, oh, maybe I should question my beliefs on this.
Mhm,
I'm going like even further outside of religion. Like I'm kind of applying it to everything. So I feel
mhm.
like it's going to be just ongoing because yeah, it's and you
Yeah.
discover more about yourself as each year goes by with it too, right?
Yeah,
So
that's certainly
yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a lot of people come on and kind of compare as they look back on their former belief system, in a religious sense, and compare that to what felt like an abusive partner or parent, which kind of makes sense then that you would apply those same sort of techniques
Yeah.
in both cases. Also, kind of scary that
Yeah.
that's such a common experience for people, kind of coercive,
Yeah, it
manipulative.
So,
happens a lot. It is. It is a lot of coercive stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
so you talked about, psychic powers. How about specifically mediumship? Like how much, and you were also into finding ghosts. So did you ever yourself believe you could communicate with the dead?
Yeah. So, like what I did and what the other psychics and mediums would do, none of us ever, this is like, okay, I'm going to date myself. This is like pre John Edward. Okay. So, like, we didn't we weren't talking, like there was no conversations. It was like feelings. We go to a location, we give a feeling, and always like what I was told my whole life and what every psychic who's trained is told is whatever pops in your head must be a vision. That's our thing. Whatever pops in your head is a vision. It's not, it's our imagination. But so it would be like we go to a location, we would feel the energy in the room because you can just kind of feel, you can feel like when you're in a room and everything's copacetic and then suddenly someone walks in who's super angry and it just like brings down everyone's vibe. That's the kind of thing that we'd feel for, right? So we'd report on that. Then we'd also report on any visions, which was just imagination. And that's sort of what we would do. There was no like talking to a ghost and them giving you like a sentence, you know what I mean? Or like a direct message
So,
like
so what
that.
do you make of all the
So,
famous TV psychics? Basically, yeah, he's right next to me. He's telling me right now, you should do this, or this is what he wants to know if you did, it. And like they're literally speaking to him in his head. And by the way,
mhm.
I've watched this with Matt Fraser. He goes on and on and on and speaks very fast. And part of what he's saying is, yes, right now she's telling me this, but he never stops talking. I don't know how you would understand the ghost talking to him because he never stops talking himself. But it's always, yeah, she's telling me right this. She said she should do this. It's like, wow. So how do you explain that?
Yeah, so I don't because well that's the whole thing is that it so even growing up too, I love magic. I love magicians and magic, and I would watch those shows where the remember that one magician, he was giving away magician secrets and he would wear that face
The
mask. You guys
Masked
remember that guy?
Magician, I think it was. Yeah.
I love that guy. Yeah. So when I first seen John Edward pop up as a show, I never like I know people were doing this. Like I know now people were doing this on TV and elsewhere before John Edward. I honestly wasn't paying attention. I did used to watch like Sylvia Brown, but she wasn't like
Sylvia
she wasn't really
Brown is the
getting
one that comes to
messages.
mind.
She would
Yeah.
she'd get like more prophecies or like she wouldn't talk as if like the person's talking to her. So it
Yeah.
was like at the
Yeah,
time I
from the
believed
videos,
her.
I've never watched her at the time, but from the videos I've seen since she died, it would just be,
Mhm.
your kid's dead. Like it was just a fact that she knew it and she would
Yes.
say that. Yeah.
And it was always
Yeah.
something, well, I
Yeah.
don't know if it was always something awful, but I guess the clips that for whatever reason pop up in my feed
Your
about
kid's
her.
dead. And by the way, the kid was being held, by a kidnapper, and then they found much later.
Yes, like that would go
Yeah.
completely opposite to what you were talking about earlier, Floor, about not saying hurtful, harmful things to
No.
people, even if you did think of them. I
Yes.
imagine that would have been
Yeah,
problematic for a lot of
and
reasons
that's the
from
thing.
the perspective you were coming from.
Yeah, and even like even like modern day mediums or whatever. There's ones that believe that they're truly psychic. There's ones that no, they aren't, and they're obviously grifting people. But there's a code of ethics, like unwritten code of ethics. And I'm about to do a video on a medium who is lying to everyone, and she tells people the most negative stuff. And some woman almost decided to take her own life the other day. We got her testimony, and I'm literally talking to this psychic's daughter because the psychic has ruined her whole family's life. And so I'm going to be doing a video on this lady. But it's like even if you're faking it or whatever, like nobody does that. Like it's kind of like an unwritten rule. Like you don't give out negative information, you know, because it can ruin somebody. Right? People that truly believe in psychics, they'll fall for it. Just like it's horrible to do. So yeah, I think it's horrible when psychics do that. But yeah, it's just like Sylvia Brown used to do that a lot. And I admired her when I was younger, but like honestly, I wasn't following her that closely. I would just be like, when she would show up on Montel Show, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna watch this because I was into all the paranormal stuff, right? So, but when I seen John Edward pop up, because I watch a lot of magic stuff. My mom would take me to magician shows too. I love it. And when I seen him pop up on TV, I was like, this is just a mentalist. I was like, "Oh, this isn't a psychic." And so I've never taken any of these psychics seriously. So I'm like, this is a the mentalists do this stuff. I've watched like enough mentalist shows to know mentalists do this stuff, right? And I just thought, okay, well, this is just whatever. They're slapping psychic on it, but it's just a magician show, you know? So I've never really believed them, to be honest.
So
The closest one is Sylvia.
the last
Yeah.
video I watched, and maybe it's the last one you made, was a really good takedown of the Hollywood medium Tyler Henry, and he's got another shtick. He doesn't hear people talking to him, I think, but he draws things somehow. He gets impressions.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it's called the psychometry, whatever, I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, it's the writing. It's like psychic writing. I believe it's psychometry. I might be
Yeah.
misremembering.
But when he shows it at
But
the end,
yeah,
there's no words on it. It's just like scribbles. It's really weird. But
yeah.
from my looking at him previous to what you said, and you had a really great takedown of him. It's like it's just so obvious that he's not really communicating with dead people. The question I have: do you think he knows that?
Um. Okay, these are all my opinions based on publicly accessible information. All right, personal opinions.
What, you mean you're not
Um.
reading his mind? What?
I'll just put it like this. I think a lot of you guys can figure this out. Uh, his grandmother kidnapped his mother at a very young age. She was like a 3 or 4. She had other kids that she got in weird ways. So kidnapped his mother, and she had all of her kids take part in grifts. One of them also being that she would send Tyler's mother to a church and beg for money as a kid, as like weird grifts, like orphans, whatever. I need healthcare, blah, blah, whatever. So his mom was doing this at a very young age. His grandmother then killed 2 people to try to steal their motel and had her kids help clean up the evidence. So that's who raised Tyler.
Wow.
And
Does he ever
Tyler,
communicate with that dead person and tell her? Does he do that? Does grandma ever talk to him?
he covered the story, obviously, to make it look good for his family, but I think it looked bad in my opinion. He covered it in his first Netflix series. They went through and they worked through this whole history of his mom, and they covered the story. And it's this whole sappy thing of like, I'm not like my mother, I'm not like who raised me, and that was what his mom would say. But here the thing is, like, there is magazine articles and TV spots when he was like 16. She had like the press come and interview him and stuff. So like,
Or you
I don't
mean
know, man. I'm
claiming
just
he was a
saying,
psychic, claiming he was at that age? That's what you're talking about?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, like, yeah. His mom said that he would give like even readings to people when he was like 5 and stuff. So yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. If you're raised by someone who's like been raised by that and grew up in that, I don't know. You
Right.
know.
If it
so
seems evident that it
I
was,
think I saw for the first time on your show that they proved he has psychic abilities from a QEEG machine.
oh, what?
Yeah, QEEG. QEEG is like, it's pretty much a pseudoscience. The only thing it can measure is brain activity when you're recovering from a brain injury. It'll tell you like, oh, okay, your brain is healing because now that you're doing this activity. So you have a brain injury, you go in, you get a scan. Then they're like, okay, well your electricity is a little bit low. Oh, I'm simplifying this in like this area of the brain and this area of the brain, and then you do all these brain exercises, whatever. Like there's clinics to help restore brain injury, right? After brain injury. So then you do that, then you do the QEEG again, and it'll be like, okay, well, now you're lighting up in this region that you didn't light up in before. So therefore, we're seeing some improvement. That is what a QEEG, by the scientific community, they accept that. Everything else that they try to prove with a QEEG, because there's a lot of crap that they try to prove, that's all BS, not accepted by the scientific community. They don't even accept, like, if you try to do a scientific study that involves a QEEG, they're on it. Like the scientists, neuroscientists are like, no, no, no. We're
So
not having,
so
no.
so so how did they supposedly? What did they say about Tyler Henry in his
Well,
results
they
of
did
that?
this.
What did they say?
Yeah, they did it to Tyler Henry and to Teresa Caputo, also did this little whatever publicity stunt. Uh, so they did that, and all that they found was that their electricity was higher than normal people, like in these certain areas when they were doing a reading. It's like, well, yeah, because they're acting as a mentalist. Like, you're using more of your brain because you're paying attention to how someone's breathing, how they're speaking, how their body's moving. Like you're in like hyper focus mode, So like, yes, of course his brain is more lit up.
Yeah, did they have a
because
control group where
that's
they
what he's
had
doing.
somebody who is an acknowledged mentalist
Mm-mm.
but does not say they have psychic powers doing the thing and being in the machine? Did they do that?
Rob, you're describing an actual scientific experiment. You know
No,
that's not what happened.
no.
Yeah,
Control
no,
groups,
that didn't
what?
happen. And there is actually a scientific study that was done about scanning psychic brains and stuff that Dustin Dean, mentalist Dustin Dean, sent to me. And so I do have a video on just QEGs and psychics, like the psychic brain. And I've linked that study as well in the details of that video too.
Oh, I
So,
have to watch that.
um,
Yeah,
yeah, it covers Teresa and Tyler. And then I think I talk about the study as well. And I do link the study as well. So, because I know I get a lot of that. They're like, oh, the brain scan proved it. But here's the guy that runs that brain scan clinic. It's the same guy that did Teresa and Tyler. That guy also pushes a bunch of crazy supplements that are super unsafe. He's also very good friends with Dr. Oz. And now that guy is also in charge now of a certain medical department in the US that has to do with, I believe, supplements and making sure that they're FDA approved, safe, whatever, when he has his own crap that he's pushing to his clients. So he's not an ethical doctor at all. Yeah.
wow.
And the brain scan was done on Dr. Oz on Teresa. So it's like, come on. Like,
So the other thing
So
that
how did
impressed
it
me
turn out that
that you mentioned in your video was the Boy George segment, and was
oh.
that on the very first episode of the new series, if I'm remembering that right? When Boy George,
No, the Boy George thing is when he was doing that Hollywood Medium thing. Like that was the first series that he got started in,
okay, was
right?
that so?
That was his first
Mm.
TV show. Yeah.
There's a scene where it's starting and Tyler is failing and Boy George is not agreeing with what he's saying. And then they're showing, for some reason, I was surprised they were as upfront as they were. His manager, Boy George's manager, who got him this gig, right, in the back room saying, I don't know what he's doing. And then he goes out and tells Boy George, you can't act like that. And then Boy George kind of gave a little bit more to Tyler to make him look better. That blew my mind
Mm-hmm.
that they showed that, frankly, because like that's so freaking obvious that what happened there.
Yeah, it's very obvious. I don't know why they aired that anyway, other than, well, and that's the thing is that like a lot of people, I know a lot of people hate Boy George because of what he's done in his past. I get it, whatever, but he served his time. He admitted to what he did. It's done, whatever. The issue is not really about Boy George. The issue is about Tyler, right? But for one, Boy George would do a lot of favors for that guy as his manager, and it turns out that that guy was stealing off Boy George this whole time. He like defrauded him of a bunch of money from his bank accounts and stuff. But so he was doing the Tyler thing as a favor for him because that guy had like a reality TV show. He was like on one of the Real Housewife TV shows. He's like the husband of one of the housewives, and so the show that housewife show is actually produced by the company who produces Hollywood Medium. So like this was a favor, right? To like interchange the stories and the shows. Like this wasn't even like Boy George didn't even do it for the money. He did it as a favor to his manager that and he's forgiven his manager for stealing from him. Like they're good buds. I don't know what's going on, but he likes that guy. He does a lot of things for him. I don't know. Yeah.
The other funny thing in that show was, and I don't remember the entire story, but something about Tyler's relaying some from a dead person telling him about having a glass of water. Corey Haim, I think is his name. And I
Yeah.
wasn't aware of that
Yeah.
originally, but then you reported that what Tyler Henry was saying was from a book that he clearly read to get this information, and then later the story in the book was shown to be wrong. Right. And Tyler clearly didn't know that was a wrong story. And he was saying it like the dead person is telling me this. Right. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, so that debunk was actually found by, I don't remember his name. He doesn't seem to be making videos anymore, but the video he made was really good. And it was about Corey Feldman and Tyler Henry. And I have it linked in my references and stuff. And I think I put his name on the screen too when I show clips of it. So just to be like, fair, he did the debunk on this one. Because that guy loves going in on Corey Feldman. So he knew all the
Oh,
details.
Corey Feldman. I don't know why I thought it was
But-
Corey Haim. Okay.
Well, no, Corey Haim's the one who died, but the Corey Feldman is who he did the reading
two
for. 'Cause
Coreys.
the
All
two
right.
Coreys, two Coreys in the 80s. So yeah, it was that essentially what Tyler said to Corey Feldman about Corey Haim is this drinking water thing that happened right before his, like, I think brain aneurysm or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I have fibro fog. I don't remember stuff off the top of my head, guys. I do apologize. Um, and then what ended up happening is Corey Haim's mother came forward and was like, "You never talked to Corey that night. This never happened. You weren't there. What are you talking about? Why would you put that in your book?" Right? So it's like, okay, well, this never happened. Therefore, like, that debunked Tyler. Right? It's just like there's constant debunks of this kid, but people still believe because I know people hang on to their belief structures
Oh yeah,
for a long time.
there's a
So.
Facebook channel I follow named Tyler Henry, and some other mediums are listed, debunking,
Mm.
and you get their fans showing up calling, the people who are saying that they're frauds, the worst people in the world, including Susan Gerbic. Why are you lying about Tyler? He's true. He's the true deal.
Well,
Yeah,
and
well,
that
Susan, I think even right now that she's being accused of being a CIA agent
Well,
who
yeah,
then changes Wikipedia to
yeah,
hide the truth about aliens.
that's a whole nother thing.
I'm sorry, why do you have to be in the CIA to change Wikipedia? I What's the
I don't know.
connection? I'm trying to make it make sense, and I shouldn't be. Never mind. Wow. But I mean, it really goes to show how hard people will hold on to these beliefs, even though, you're showing them example after example after example of how, this is clearly not accurate. We've debunked this and this and this, and people still hang on. Uh, what do you
Mhm.
think was different for you? It sounds like for you, it kind of just took, a couple of big experiences, and then you said, you know what, this isn't accurate, and you just continued on debunking. Did you ever go through a period of time where you kind of wanted to continue believing, even though evidence was pointing against it? And if not, was there something that you think kind of inoculated you against that?
Yeah, so I think like, ghosts and hauntings and things like that, I was pretty crushed after my friends passed. But I still hung on to the psychic stuff, but like I never believed the mediums like on TV, but I still felt that we have the ability to like prophesize things. Like I still felt like there was something there. And it was just even like the last like couple years, I've kind of broken it down as like this is definitely just a physiological thing. Like it's part of our human bodies that we're born with, just intuition and things like that, recognizing patterns, and you can train yourself to do it more and better. And that's what I've come to the conclusion now. And there was like even I think like 2 years ago where I still kind of believed that we could prophesize things. But now I'm like, no, I understand now. It's like it's definitely like a pattern thing. I've seen patterns, and I think part of it too is like I'm neurodivergent, and recently in the last few years, like I was always told that I had ADHD growing up, but my mom was one of those my kid's perfect parents and wouldn't let also against pharmaceutical parent, except she did let me get vaccines. So there's that. It's good on that.
That's good.
But yeah, so it's like she wouldn't accept that I was ADHD. But now ADHD gets worse for women when it's unmedicated, when you start aging more and under a lot of stress. I've been like struggling. So I went and see my doctor, did all that. And then that's where I've been kind of exploring neurodivergence. And I'm like, oh, this is probably why I'm good at this psychic stuff. It's not psychic, but like I'm good at the patterns, recognizing patterns, and just minute body language and things like that, speech patterns, right? And that's where I just have come to the conclusion that this is all it is. It's like I can predict a lot of stuff, but it's based on patterns like I'm seeing, and
Yeah,
watching
you
somebody
mentioned
too. So.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier a little bit about how neurodivergence is kind of in your family, and you thought that might be related. We've had a few other people come on the show and talk about that before too. I don't know if that might be kind of an emerging area of research or hypothesizing, but you were describing what I think sounds like maybe people come to think that they are psychic or have, some kind of what we would consider paranormal or magical abilities based on the fact that they just maybe are a little bit more sensitive to or are picking up on nonverbal cues that are coming
Yeah.
from other people, and rather than understanding that they are just good at picking up on nonverbal communication, instead come to believe that it's some sort of magic. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I think the majority of it is. Now, there are like neurotypicals that can train their brain to do this stuff, but it's a lot harder for them to train it. Neurodivergent people, we can fall into it very easily with very minimal training.
Mm,
Just because we do it already without
mhm.
knowing we're doing it, right? So I do think the neurodivergent is a lot of key aspect to this, and I do think that there is a primal reason. Like it would make sense that some humans are born with this ability to recognize patterns and minute things, and maybe in tribes, these people were in charge of like I don't know, resolving debates or resolving interpersonal drama, but also people who are like this, they would probably be good at like tracking herds if it's a nomad tribe back in the day, and we rely on the deer that we're tracking to keep us alive. Like I can see why neurodivergent fits in these areas. And most neurodivergent people, it's like 3 a.m. we're like wide awake and ready to go. Like our best times are our brain turns on at like 9 p.m. and then like it keeps going. So it also would make sense from a nature perspective that half of us are able to stay up all night, right? Maybe we would be the lookouts for the tribe during the night. So like I do think a lot of this is sort of primal like biology that we still have, right? Like
Yeah.
anxiety is fight or flight. That's not going anywhere, but it was ingrained into us for a reason, so we didn't get eaten by a tiger. But now it's changed to like work is stressful. So yeah.
Yeah. I remember reading a book in grad school. I think it was called How Forests Think. And they had done a study of when people sleep in, small communities in kind of the jungles of, I believe it is Ecuador, is where this particular
Mhm.
study took place. And what they found was that in, small groups of people that are sort of living uh, off of the land and, sleeping in, sort of makeshift, structures outdoors, that there was maybe, like, I think it was less than an hour each night during which someone wasn't awake, in the group, and kind of the hypothesis there was that, yes, to your point, that would certainly be an advantage, to protect your community from attacks or predators or, really anything, that would be happening during the
Mhm.
night if everyone is asleep all at the same time, so that it's actually quite beneficial for some people to be night people. You're not lazy. You
Yeah.
you are wired that way. Your brain works that way. I hate
Yeah,
that
exactly.
idea that, oh, if you don't wake up naturally at 6 a.m. every day, you're really lazy. Just go to bed earlier and you'll fall asleep. That's not how it works.
Yeah, it doesn't work out for us for that. No. I like during the day too, you just drag our butts all day long because we're so tired. And then it's like 9 o'clock hits and it's like, okay, now we're wide awake. It's like, okay,
Right.
this is happening.
Yes. Yeah. That is a real thing.
It's
You're
a
not
problem
broken.
interfacing with the normal world of, because I'm like that. And like tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, I have an electrician coming, and I normally don't wake up for 3 or 4 hours after that. 3 hours.
Ooh.
So it's like, oh my God. It's like I can't stay on the hangout tonight very late because like that's a crazy schedule. But he's no, I got to start at that time. Okay.
Yeah. Do you have to?
Yeah, they start so early. I know. Sometimes I just like stay up all night anyway because it's like if I know someone's coming, and this is the ADHD side, is that it's so you're so scared to get
Yeah.
into anything because you're worried you're going to miss your
Yep.
appointment.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm too scared
I
to
got
fall
that.
asleep because I will sleep through everything. So it's like okay, and then I'm like okay, I'm just gonna stay up. If it's like 6 or 7 a.m., I'm like I'll just stay up. I'll just
I can
because I'll
resonate
be
with
too
that. I
worried.
often have an awful night's sleep if I know someone's coming early in the morning. That's what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
So all right. So you've deconstructed the psychic thing, even though you used to think you were psychic in the time since then. Does that go with ghosts too? Do you think there's still a possibility there are ghosts are dead people? That there are ghosts and they're dead people?
Um, no, like, so, I mean, I still have, I know, like, a lot of you skeptics, I still have some religious belief, like, I'm pagan, mainly because, I can see the earth, and I believe in the earth, and that's who I pray to is the earth. But I do believe that we are made of electricity and energy, and I do believe that we move on to our next adventure, life, whatever, right?
Kenny Biddle would
So,
have a drink right now if he just had energy. He has that
yeah,
policy. Anyone uses the word
I
energy.
think that. I think he was doing something like that when he was interviewing me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was having like a drink when I said something. But yeah, so I think that we move on to our next thing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with people who have a belief of whatever happens after death, because otherwise death can be scary. Like if you think it's nothing, like if you don't think of anything, like it can be scary to think it's just blackness and nothing, right? So I understand, people that want to hang on to a belief of life after death or next life or whatever it might be. I'm not going to like harp on them for that, but I don't believe that there's ghosts. I don't believe that we're hanging around after we die to talk to somebody in their phone app. That's silly. um but I
So you
do.
don't believe in EVP? All those recordings of electronic voice phenomena?
No, well, everyone uses the DR60, so it's all just debunked.
It's just
So
noise.
What's
yeah.
the
So,
DR60?
but it's a really old like handheld audio memo taker, but it's so
Oh.
broken that it will give noise when there's silence. So you are guaranteed to get an EVP to make your video more entertaining,
Which
right?
is electronic voice phenomena, which believers believe
Yeah.
is the way disembodied entities speak with humans by somehow recording the electromagnetic spectrum on this device that you can't hear before it goes on the recording. Yeah.
Oh. And of
Yeah.
course, like
No,
knocking
and
things off of the shelf in your pantry during the night
Well,
as
that too.
well.
yeah.
Fair.
So, and the thing is, like, I will say, like, I don't believe everything is not. So, like, what I do believe in, time is not linear. Time does like fold on itself, and there are some like timey-wimey things that happen in the world and in the universe and whatever
Doctor Who
in
reference.
physics. So yeah, yeah. So I think that there are, because I've had a lot of experiences. I think that there are a lot of things where we're witnessing a moment in time that's just like either burned into an area or maybe like some kind of weird veil. I don't know how to explain it. It's thin for a moment and we're just seeing a moment. So like residual hauntings, I do believe, but I don't think that they're like hauntings. I think that it's just like a moment in time, right? It's kind of burned in there. Because I've
My-
seen a lot of crazy stuff at like a lot of battlefields and stuff, right? I think it's in areas that are
Do you
like a
know?
lot of stuff
Do you know
happen.
Kenny's story about him being seen as on the battlefield as a ghost? Do you know that story?
I was
Did he tell
just
you that?
thinking about that too.
I don't know if I've heard that one.
Oh,
No.
Kara, tell it. Tell it. That's a really good one.
Oh, okay. So I think it was at Gettysburg, that he was at one of the conventions of the ghost hunters.
While he was still a ghost hunter.
And
Yeah.
yes, and he and
Mm-hmm.
his crew were out there at the cemetery, or one of the cemeteries in Gettysburg, and they saw another group of ghost hunters coming up, and so they thought, "Oh, this will be funny. Let's play a joke on them." And they went and like kind of hid in the bushes or behind some
Mm,
stuff.
I don't remember
Um,
it that way.
Oh, okay. I could have that wrong, but I thought they kind of got out of sight of the other people and then jumped out to scare them, or were like making
No, so
sounds and
they were
things.
yelling at them to get away because it was their spot, basically. It's like, we're here, we're doing this, don't bother us. That's my recollection.
Oh, they weren't even intending to play a
No,
joke on them. They were
no.
actually just yelling at them.
They
Okay, I
screamed at them, and those people
I
got
made that part
afraid,
up in
and
my head, I
they
guess.
got afraid and drove away.
They
Right.
got afraid.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Yeah,
weird.
because they thought that Kenny was a
they
ghost.
thought it was ghosts
So the
Oh, that's
next
yelling at
funny.
them.
morning, Kenny comes, after they got a night's sleep, they come out and they're having the communal breakfast or whatever it is. And those people are saying, we saw a ghost. It was a real ghost. It came out of the woods and yelled at us. And Kenny goes, that was me. And they would not believe him. And that's
Yeah,
what
of
And that
turned
course
was
they
Kenny
would.
his
around. That's what turned
that was
Kenny around.
Mm.
yeah, he was like, "Wait a minute. If this is what
Mm.
people think ghosts are,
Yeah, also, like,
this can't
am
be
I
right."
like that too? I don't believe somebody telling me the actual, this was me, and there's no, it wasn't you, it was a ghost. I saw the ghost, I know it was a ghost.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
report that as a specter, right? And they did in public, and their ghost, there was another group of ghost hunters, and they said, yes, we found a ghost. He came out of the woods and yelled at us, and we ran. It's like, no.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it's just, and personal anecdotes and experiences, like I said, a lot of people, like, there's no point really bringing them up too often because I'm not going to really believe anybody with their personal experience, but I don't expect people to believe mine, right?
It's a tough thing,
Um,
but it's
yeah.
when people have them, no matter what it is, religious nature, ghosts, being abducted by aliens, it's hard to convince somebody that
Mm.
that is not really what happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I was living in a really haunted house too, and I have a bunch of stories about that, but I still think that was a residual haunting
Hmm.
as well. So like I kind of believe in residual hauntings, but I
But
believe
not
that they're
spirits.
like
But not spirits. Interesting.
no, I think that it's like a moment in time. Like cuz like physics and a lot of math has showed us we can go back in time. You know,
Mm.
even look at when we're looking at the universe, like we
How
can even look
about
back on time on the universe,
this is
right?
my explanation for ghosts, and I think it's as valid as saying the dead people is they're people either from another planet or another dimension or time travelers with some cloaking device that has failed, right? They're observing us for some reason, but the cloaking device isn't working properly, so we see them, and they didn't intend for that to happen, right? I think that's just as reasonable and well also unprovable as the anything else.
Or it's like that,
Mhm.
what was that one haunting movie, The Others, where they're not being haunted. They just think they're living their life, but they're
Yes.
accidentally haunting the people
That's a
that live
good
in the
one.
house.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good
How
one.
would you
Yeah.
know?
So that's the thing that
Yeah,
always surprises
that's
me about
really interesting.
believers in ghosts. It's like I don't know what that is, but it's a ghost. It's a dead person. Like I don't know what it is, but I know what it is. It's like yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Don't know what it
and
is.
that's things. So it's like and because I've had experiences and everything, like I'll still go ghost hunting and stuff. I still like pay attention to what's going on, but like the field is so filled with these gadgets that are clearly not like they're just crap. They don't do anything. And it's just like a money grab, and everyone's using all these gadgets. It's like the field is a mess right now, to be honest. It's just like, I don't know. There was a time that we used to go to try to prove that there was life after death. Like that was sort of what we were doing. But now it's just like, now it's about making a YouTube video, making money off the YouTube
Yeah.
video. So, yeah.
Well, and speaking of YouTube videos, I posted the link to your channel, Flurry's Phantom Files, and I'll put that again in the chats as well. But what do you hope that people will gain from the programming and the content that you put out? And where else can we find you? Is that the best place to find your content?
Yeah, that's the best place to find my content. I'm really horrible at keeping up with like short form content. So it's like once in a while I release something. But yeah, no, YouTube is the best place. And I'm really just, I mean, I decided with this year too, I'm sort of branching out. I'm kind of going into woo woo, like topics. I call them woo woo topics, but anything that's woo woo adjacent. So there's a lot of ghost hunters and stuff who are getting into solving a recent crime by taking their phone app to a location of someone who was, you know, and then saying that their phone app solved the mystery, which is completely inappropriate in my opinion. So I'm starting to also explore like true crime because I'm finding that they're also making up stories. They're not telling the correct stories. They're not giving the correct information. So now I'm kind of like exposing people through. I honestly expose a lot of people through research. I just like research it and see if something's true or not. And so I'm kind of doing that. So I'm doing some true crime stuff this year. We're also going to be exploring the wellness, you know, new age wellness industry because some people showed up in some support groups for fibromyalgia and they're clearly trying to like sell people a bunch of crap. So I'm not happy about that. So I decided I'm going to cover that. Then we still have our psychics. And you know, this stuff kind of all overlaps, to be honest. Like my mom was a master herbologist, and like I grew up, it was all supplements and stuff in my house. Like I know this industry pretty well. My whole family went to a woo woo doctor. I
Oh
did not like
no.
him. I didn't trust him. So I go to a real doctor, but that woo woo doctor is gone, dead
What
now.
was it in
But
naturopath?
yes, but he had a medical degree in Canada here. So he was able to be covered
Mhm.
under our free healthcare, but he would sell them all these supplements that were in German and nobody, the family didn't know what was in it. And you would go to an appointment. Like I went to an appointment after they pressured me to go after I had my botched wisdom tooth surgery, which required like 3 surgeries to fix. And it was a
Oh.
mess. My whole body was a mess. Um, so I went to him and then the first thing he did was shoot me with a needle. I was like, what's in that? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. It'll make you feel better. I'm like, what the hell did you just put in me? Like, what the
Like, did he even find out if
so
you had any allergies first or anything? What else are you
I think
taking?
so, yeah, because I filled out the form and I always put down penicillin because I'm
Okay.
penicillin allergy. So I think so, but like
Uh,
still, like you know what I mean? Like what the hell? I didn't ask for that. Like what are you putting in me? And then he was trying to get me to eat with the seasons. So he was like, you need to eat brown rice and boiled chicken to fix your body. And I'm like, so I was like, whatever. I tried it for like a day, and brown rice makes me like actually like puke. So so I was like, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm like, I'm not going back to this guy. And then at the same time, too, my partner at the time was dealing with some stuff. They had a therapy program that was really affordable because therapy isn't really covered. Kind of, it's kind of covered, but not really covered in Canada. So he went there, and then she would just talk of God. She was talking like the AA meetings, like give yourself to God,
Oh,
give your problems to God. And he was like, whoa, he's like, he was an atheist Catholic, grown up atheist, right? And he's like, what the heck is this nonsense? And then what happened to me, and I was like, why? I said, I feel like, why are you seeing this guy? He's a quack. And yeah, my family have all gotten sicker because of him because he wasn't properly treating them. So I do
mm,
feel strongly about this. So sorry, I'm going on a
mhm.
rant.
No,
no,
So
that's
that's one of my
okay.
that's
topic
fine.
areas.
That's fine.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm
that's
going to
an
be kind
important
of doing
one.
that. Yeah, the psychics, true crime, ghost hunting stuff, kind of like everything. It kind of overlaps, to be honest. So yeah,
So,
I try to expose it and I try to teach people, especially the psychic stuff. I try to teach at least from my experience.
Mhm.
what was your favorite investigation of all the ones you've done so
Mhm.
far?
Um, I often, as I say to people, like once I'm done, it's like gone out of my head. So only like really recent ones I kind of remember, but uh I don't even know. I'm so bad at it. I don't know. Like the Ashley Gillard one I recently did, that one was pretty good, but it was very sad. So that one was hard to finish. Um I think the Teresa Caputo one I did was really good because I was even pointing out that she follows like a script. Like and then Susan started looking for that and she found that with Matt Fraser too, that he's following a script. So it's just like that's interesting. I found that one to be interesting.
It's amazing whenever you look at
Yeah.
a bunch of performances of any one psychic or medium, you see they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like when I'm making my expose videos, like I watch like hundreds of hours of said psychic that I'm covering, and that's why I don't cover Matt Frazier because I can't with his voice. I just like I'm like that's Susan. You want to hear about Matt Frazier? Go find Susan. That's what I tell people.
Yes, Susan will tell you
Yeah,
all about it. Oh my
yeah.
goodness, that's funny.
Yeah, Susan's recently done a bunch of videos on her Psychics Explained channel where
Mhm.
she's sitting with a
Yeah.
guest and they both watch one of his readings and dissect it. And I tried to watch a few of them, and I'm like you, Florio. I cannot stand listening to the guy. I don't know if it's his voice or his delivery or the fact that I know he's bullshitting and making hundreds of thousands of dollars from these people online. No exaggeration, right? Susan
Oh
found
yeah.
out that thousands of people are on these sessions, and he charges them whatever $50 each. Do the math, and he
Yeah.
does a few a week, and only like 8 or 9 of them get a reading. The rest are just watching, and they're still paying that money. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, yeah. I attended a couple with Susan too because it's like the more numbers we have to try to like bust these psychics, right? So I went to some of them too, and we kind of also I think figured out. I don't know if Susan said this, but we kind of figured out that if you open up the thing like when your camera first turns on, the more that you're crying and looking like you're like desperate, then he'll choose you. And he also likes choosing people that are not alone because then he can feed off the person next to them. So that's the other thing that we noticed as well. So yeah,
Oh, the
it's very
one I
interesting.
watched, there were 3 people, and in the section,
Mhm.
Susan and the guest mentioned she was. They're pretty sure they were maybe brothers and sisters because they looked a lot alike. And Matt only was talking like the dead person was only talking about the sisters, and the younger boy is sitting there like, "Who? What am I? What am I?
Yeah.
Mincemeat?
Yeah.
No. Oh, he loves you, the 2 sisters, and da da da." And the boys, it's like,
A
so that
kid's
had to
gonna
be
have a
psychologically
complex.
damaging to
Yeah.
them, to him anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
psychics are damaging to people, and a lot of people are like, oh well, in these shows, people are so happy, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, that's a placebo effect for one. In like a week or two, they're gonna have to reach out to a local psychic, who then they're gonna is gonna be fleeced for the rest of their life.
Right.
But two, like they don't show you the bad readings. They're only going to show you the good stuff because they're trying to advertise the psychic as being real. You don't know about the people that they've hurt, right? So of course they're not going to show that. And that's where I find like
Right.
media literacy is so friggin' bad right now. Like I'm just like, why you guys don't like question anything? You know, it's like, oh,
Yeah, for
It
people who
really
want to
is
look at how
bad.
bad it can get, look at the Wikipedia article for a detective named Bob Nygaard, Nygaard.
yes,
Right? People come to him and he tries to get some justice for them. People have taken their own lives because they've lost so much money to the neighborhood psychic. People get bankrupted because they see this stuff on TV and think it's a real thing, and then they go to the person down the street who's a con artist and is going to take them for everything they can.
Right.
yeah,
That's
and
the thing. A
that's the
lot of
other,
these,
yeah.
yeah, they'll put these forward as, oh, this is just for entertainment purposes. I'm not giving anyone any actual real advice, blah blah blah. Well, no, but you're setting them up so that they're going to be calling you back for private readings and spending hundreds or
Yeah.
thousands or
Or,
tens
or,
of
or if they
thousands
can't
of
get to you
dollars.
because you're too
Mhm.
busy, they
Yeah.
will go to the person with the street corner
Yeah.
address.
And
Right.
that's thing is like my mom, she did go out and get like a counseling degree so that she could like
Oh,
counsel someone if she felt that they were in crisis. But she was always about like not letting them come too often because she knew like people can get addicted to this stuff, right?
oh, that was good.
But and that was good, I thought growing up, and now I look on it and think, but you know what? They probably just went to another psychic. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like that one could is probably going to rip them off. And now so like now I realize like, oh well, you didn't really fix their problem. Like you just kind of like pushed them to someone else, and now they're getting fleeced anyway, right? So it's just like,
That could be.
yeah, like you can have ethics as a psychic, think you're a real psychic and try to have ethics, but the people are so desperate, they're just going to find someone else. And when they find someone else who's willing to take their $100 every day, then that's what ends up happening. So yeah,
Yeah,
people
if
don't
if it were
recognize that
only a
there's an
$100,
aftermath.
I've written about this and given
Yeah.
talks on the danger in believing in psychics. People spend, and not even talking about the people who will rip you off for your life savings, hundreds of thousands of dollars on going to psychics in a year. There was actually a chart of how much money people would spend, and then by gender, by the way. And I know you're familiar with this, Florio, right? It's
Mhm.
mostly women who go to psychic mediums. And
Yeah.
right, if you're spending $50 a year, then the genders are pretty equivalent. It's still mostly women, but it's very close. You get up to $1,000 a year, it's much more of the ratio is women. And you get up to hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and it's 90% women who are being taken advantage of by this.
Well, my
Yeah.
question about this is, where are those women working that they have that kind of money to spend? Because I would love to have that amount of
They might be spending their
disposable
life
income.
savings and mortging their
Well,
house. Right?
yeah,
If you
They
can speak to
yeah.
your dead loved one, and this is how you can
Mhm.
do it.
yeah. Because I
Yeah,
mean, that's
they
not an amount of money that
definitely
most people have available to just, throw away.
no. And that's what it is. It's usually
Woof.
life savings, or they spend like whatever they inherited or life insurance or whatever, and they'll spend that on said person to talk to them. It's like, but they left that for you to have your life, not to give it to a psychic, and
Yeah.
it takes some like convincing, I guess, to work with those people. But it's really sad that it happens, honestly. And it's like, yeah,
It
you can
happened.
try to be an ethical psychic, but trust me, you're
Yeah.
not, because you're just pushing the problem onto an unethical psychic. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're able to take that background and experience that you have, in that area and help people see examples of times this has been debunked and how to think through it. It seems like you've consistently been bringing this. Some people have mentioned in the chat too that just everything you're coming at is from this sort of skeptical, I don't believe it yet kind of perspective. And once you start digging, of course, in all these cases, it turns out to not be accurate. So I love that you're bringing that perspective to it as someone that previously, believed it and participated in it, not in a way that was a grift, but sincerely believed it. I think that
Hmm.
makes that information more palatable and more accessible to people. I have to hear it from someone who's like,
Yeah.
"Look, I don't think this is stupid that you believed this, but here's what I found out when I looked into it further, and you can look into it further too."
Yeah.
Uh,
And
I
that's
think
why I
that's
try
great.
to kind of present my stuff as someone who came from a believer, who I grew up like being told I would like, so I try to explain my stuff from that angle a lot too, because like I was attending, or I was just in the audience of one of Kenny's lives, and he pulled out that blue book or whatever that the fakers use, right? The psychic fakers.
Mhm,
And he's like, all psychics read this book. And I was like, no, no, there's people that just believe that they're truly psychic. They don't read that book. They're reading other stuff like Sylvia Browne's bullshit. You know,
mhm,
they have no idea what that book is. I had no idea what that book was. I've never heard of it until Kenny brought it up. So it's like now I'm realizing like I'm trying to kind of teach people about the people that truly believe, like what their
mhm,
mindset is, where they're coming from, and what's going on there, right? So, yeah.
Oh,
mhm,
I just do want to say one other thing. So for people who believe, and I know there are people probably going to watch this at some point. Well, not all psychics are fake because I know somebody who's real, right? I had that told to me once,
Hmm.
and of course, it's some personal anecdote about what she knew about her grandmother, and there's no other way. There are paranormal challenges worth the largest one is 500,000, $500,000, and you get a 5,000 finder's fee if you just recommend the person and they pass the test. So no one has ever done that. No one has ever won this test, and there's other lesser prizes, but they add up to millions of dollars worldwide, and no one has ever won one. So the excuse my friend was telling me, why don't you recommend the sidekick? Oh, no, she's got nothing to prove. She doesn't want to do that. It's like, okay, then she's a jerk because she could win the money and give it to childhood cancer, right? Donate it. Do something good with
mhm.
the freaking money. Don't tell me you don't need the money or you get nothing to prove.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
none of these famous
Yeah.
people have ever done that. They've never applied because they know they can't
No.
pass.
Mhm,
Yeah, and that's the thing, and when you're like raised in this and when you're trained in it by like believers, right? They bake that in. They bake the excuses into your abilities. So like they tell you that you can't repeat anything. Like you can't just turn it on. You can't just make it happen. You can't just actually like repeat the experiment or whatever, you know what I mean? And they say things like that. Then they're like, and anyways, those skeptics, they just want to debunk you, so you have nothing to prove to them. Like you're we're taught this as we're trained, so it's like an automatic excuse, right?
Mhm.
A reactionary excuse, I guess. So I have found that interesting because I'm like, well, and certain terminology and stuff tells me whether or not this person started as a true believer. Because I can tell when someone's a true believer, where they learned as a true believer versus they just picked up like that blue book that Kenny has. So I do find it fascinating to look at some psychics sometimes to be like, do they actually believe or do they know now? Because I can tell they're started off as a believer, but like, do they know that they're not real anymore now? And I do this a lot with a lot of people I analyze because I like to kind of discuss that. Like something happened in their life, and now like I feel like they do know that they're not real anymore, but now they're a YouTuber and they're ingrained into it, so they're stuck. Like they have to play it out. Plus, it makes them money. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very interesting. It is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. We see that too in other, I love the term you used earlier, woo woo adjacent communities, including like clergy members who find themselves stuck in a job where they don't believe anymore, but this is their job. It's what they were trained in. It's what's paying the bills, and they're like, well, what else am I going to do?
Hence
Uh,
the Clergy
Hmm.
Project
the
exists to
clergy
try to help
project,
those
yes,
people if they know about it and reach out to them.
Oh, what's that?
yeah.
Is that like saving priests and stuff out of it, or what is that?
It's basically like support for clergy members who don't believe anymore, but have found themselves stuck in a position where this has been their job all along, and they're not really sure what they can do to get out of it. And in many cases, people will also say that they experience, a lot of guilt around it because they feel like they're leading other people, down a path that caused them harm that they now know to be false or believe to be false. and they feel really bad about it, and it's kind of a crisis, an ethical crisis, where they don't want
Yeah.
to be in this position anymore. And so it's a project that's specifically for clergy people who are in this difficult situation, and provide support for them. I think it was started by, was it Daniel Dennett that started that, Rob?
I was going to think Baker, but I'm not positive.
I could have that
Maybe
That's
mixed up. I
really,
can look it up.
it's really interesting though. Like I didn't know something like that existed. So
Yeah,
that's
we
really
actually, in
fascinating.
our online community, we
Yeah.
actually have a chat group for people who are also members of the clergy project. Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's really fascinating because yeah, like especially if they came from Catholic guilt is like baked into that whole religion, so they feel guilt on like a whole other level.
Tell me
Yeah,
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
for
true.
sure.
Raised Catholic, yes.
Yeah, I think what we say before, Catholics have guilt and Protestants have shame. It's,
Yeah,
generally how it
true.
seems to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so seek help if you need it. Also, don't forget about the Secular Therapy Project, which is available for anyone who's just looking for a secular therapist or secular mental health care provider, because you don't want to accidentally have that experience you described, where you think you're going to go get mental
Yeah.
health support, and it's somebody telling you, oh, just give up your problems to God and eat brown rice, which I don't think I could live on that either.
Yeah.
Did you say it
Yeah,
was a
it was so
seasonal
like
diet
wild.
too? I had never heard that term. Did you say it was
It's
seasonal
a
too?
thing, and that's the
Yeah.
thing, I'm like, it's funny, I like, that's why I decided I'm gonna do some wellness debunking because I know this industry, and I recognize all these terms. Like, I know all these things. The seasonal eating has been around for a long, long time.
Never heard it.
So, yeah, it's, like, essentially that you should eat like the pioneers did, seasonally, and
Oh,
then it makes you healthy for the Canadian, environment or some bullshit, right? So sorry, I swore.
that's
I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
if
that's
you allow
okay.
that.
We do that all the time here.
I tried to hold back some swears earlier,
I'm
so
thinking a lot of the
but
pioneers probably were starving to death and died of dysentery too. So
well,
I'm not sure these people
that's what they were
understand
like.
history.
They were like, yeah, you need to eat like them. And they were starving during the winter, so you need to starve your body. Like it's
Oh,
weird. The things people come up with are so strange, and that's one where I'm like, I have a problem with people that are like talking and offering like supplements and diets because like, are you a doctor? If you're not a doctor, no. Like if you
No.
want to talk about your own journey or whatever, and like because there's supplements I try and everything, and I do know a lot about herbs and stuff, like I can choose correct things for myself, but like I tell people, I'm like, I'm taking this, it seems to work for me, like there's a lot of anecdotal evidence before I take something. There's even some actual scientific studies too for some stuff, and that's where I'm like, you can try it if you want, but like I'm not a doctor, I'm not offering medical advice. And I always say to people, if you're going to buy supplements or vitamins or anything, buy it from a company you recognize, because there's so much filler now that causes like blood thinners, like that causes you to have thin blood, and it can cause you major problems, especially if you had like an emergency surgery you have to do. If you're taking like supplements off brand that you don't recognize this brand, like you can have these problems, right? So, and this thing, I know a bunch about this industry. That's why I'm kind of like, I think I
do,
maybe want to do some videos
do you
breaking some of
know?
this
Do you
down
know
too.
Cat
So
Mac?
it sounds really familiar. So
Yeah,
I think so.
she posted when you were on Kenny's, and if you don't know, I should introduce you because she's done talks on this subject. She's Canadian also, and she had horrible
Oh,
health outcomes from being given supplements and stuff, and now she speaks on that industry. So, got
Mhm.
to get you guys together.
that's interesting. Yeah, I think that maybe I heard of them through Susan now that you mention
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, that
Yeah.
sounds right.
Yeah.
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 Well, yeah, with that, we'll have to see if we can get y'all in touch. And other than that, is there anything else that we haven't covered yet that we need to? We're about at time, but I don't want to cut us off if there's more to still cover.
So let me just ask Florio
Whatever
that
you want to ask me. Yeah.
you have. Yeah, I know you do, or it looks like there's a ton of research done on your videos. Do you do this yourself, or do you have a staff? Do you need people to help you?
Yeah, like I started off doing it all myself, but I have viewers who wanted to help me with a big research project, which I still have not released the video on. And I plan to write an article for Skeptical Inquirer as part of it, which is why I engaged people to come help me. But there's so much data, I don't know how to present it yet. My mind is overwhelmed by it. So I do have like some research team members, and they just kind of help me with some life research stuff. I'm kind of like, hey, I need to watch like thousands of hours of video. Like, do you guys want to take a turn and watch some videos for me? And I also asked them, like, what's your opinion on this? Because I find like when I hear other people's opinions, I like to hear that to see if it's maybe a path I didn't think about going down. So we're kind of like a think tank slash whatever research group. But yeah, like I do a lot of the research and make sure that I can like back up things that are said, or different ideas people have and everything. But it is a lot. Yeah, it's a lot to do, which is why my deep dives, I tend to not do one a week. I'll like mix in a sort of reaction video or like a talking off the top of my head kind of video in between, because the big ones take a long time to work through everything for sure.
Makes sense. All right. Well, I guess, were there any other questions, Rob? I don't think we had too many questions this time,
No, we
although we did
covered
have a
all the
lot of
topics that
engagement in the
high
chat.
level topics, at least, that I wanted to cover. So that's great.
Awesome. Okay. Well, in that case, we'll go ahead and start wrapping up so we can head over to the Hangout. Thank you so much, Fleur, for joining us tonight. And do you think you'll have time to stick around with us for the Hangout?
Yeah, I just need to get up and have a little break for
Oh,
a minute. But yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, we'll
I'll take
totally
actually,
time for
fine.
the
we did
hangout.
that in Zoom. We'll have to give
Yeah.
you a link for that. It's a different.
Yeah, we'll send
Mm.
you over the link, and I'll drop it in the chat
Okay.
as well for anybody that wants to join us. So, yeah, well, thank you
Okay.
everybody for coming this evening, and thanks for chatting with us. This was really
Yeah, fascinating story.
educational and enjoyable. So, join us back again, everyone, next week, same time, same channel. We have Seth Andrews next week, so definitely don't want to miss that. We love Seth. He's been on a few times, and I can't wait to sit down and
And
chat with
every
him.
other time he's given a long talk, which was appreciated, but this time it's going to be just an interview, just like we did with Fleureo. So, and people will be
Yes.
able to
Nice.
ask
Okay.
questions of Seth. Anything you've ever wanted to ask him, come with your questions.
Yes. Yeah,
Mm.
it's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely join us. And don't forget, you can access our resources every day of the week, not just on Mondays, at our website, recoveringfromreligion.org, where you can get in touch with a volunteer on our helpline, attend a support group, access the online resources, visit the blog, listen to the podcast, or get connected with a licensed mental health care professional through the Secular Therapy Project, which we mentioned earlier. So check us out there and see what resources you can access. And with that, also, Rob, where can people find us on the interwebs?
All over the place. We're on Facebook, which is Recovering from Religion, or on Instagram, which is RfRorg. We're even on TikTok. I don't think there's any dancing, but we're on TikTok at Recovering from Religion. We're on Blue Sky, recoveringfromreligion.org. And we even have a link tree, which is Recovering from Religion. Also, of course, our YouTube channel, right? All the episodes we've done, almost all of them are there. There's 260 plus at this point. You can find them in the RfRx playlist, and also the recent ones are in the live playlist. Lastly, we want everyone to know that we are staffed here by volunteers. No one gets the atheist money or any money at all. And we have learned that personal healing results from helping others to heal. So if you're inclined, have the time, you're in a position to do so, you have the mindset to do so, we'd love for you to join our team. Go to our main page, recoveringfromreligion.org, and click volunteer, and you'll see something to read about that, and then an application if you can fill that out. And speaking of volunteers, please check out the new playlist on our YouTube channel, which is RFR Deconstruction Stories. We talked a little bit about deconstruction here. I have been interviewing other volunteers to get their own stories of deconstruction. Each episode features an interview with a volunteer, and the names include people you've seen here, including Kara and the person who just joined us live, Gail.
Yeah, and Gail, thank you for joining us. We would love to hear your thoughts, your closing thoughts on this evening's program. We won't call it a benediction because that can only be done by Dr. Ray, the high priest of the flying spaghetti monster.
Oh,
But
thank God that I don't believe in.
right, you're off the
Well,
hook
thank
this
you so
time.
much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been fascinating. Those of us who come from the religion side sometimes have a gap with those who have come in from the skeptic side, but the damage is similar. The damage of believing things for which there's no evidence, and the damage of not developing our critical thinking skills. We all end up in the same place, which is, we find ourselves needing those skills, and at recovering from religion, that's part of what we do. Rather than try to convince you of this is the way that you should believe, we try to get you to access your own critical thinking skills and the standard by which we can apply things that we hear, so that we're safer, and so that we're healthier. And it applies on the religion side, and it applies on the skeptic side. I've always been frustrated. It was a conversation toward the end of the program when we were talking about the seasonal eating, and there's always this little nugget of truth, because you'll have a relative and they're going to be going off on this, and there's a nugget of truth in that. And I think Glenda made a comment in the chat. It is better to eat things that are local, and then not have your bananas shipped all the way from South America because of the carbon footprint and all the things. And yet at the same time, it goes too far, because then they're saying you just eat dirt in the winter, or whatever it is, whatever the premise is. And so instead of being frustrated by it, as we should see it as an opportunity to try to help people develop those critical thinking skills. I know it's an exercise in futility with a lot of our family members, but we have to make the effort anyway. And Flora, I so appreciate your presentation tonight. It was different, it was interesting, and I am sure that there are folks that don't come in from the religion side, but that come in from the skeptic side, who will really respond to this information. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you, team. Thank you, behind the scenes folks. Thank you in front of the camera folks, for presenting yet again the best night of the week, Monday night at RfRx. Everybody be sure to join us over in the Zoom hangout and stay sometimes for as long as the evening goes. We try to have our hosts who selflessly commit to a long time in the evenings to foster conversation and to provide answers to any of the questions. So join us over there, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Gail. Thanks, everybody, for coming. So, yeah, don't forget, join us in the Zoom Hangout. I dropped the link in the chat, and that wraps up another RfRx appointment. Remember, your follow-up is next week, and you don't need faith for this prescription to work.